and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. At this time, this is a time in which we get the opportunity to acknowledge our students and other individuals who have won various awards. We have Mr. Dustin Dick, our principal from Topeka West, that's here this evening. And Mr. Dick, I believe is your student. That I must see. How many times have I taken over articles that are laminated?
A lot.
So would you like to speak on behalf of students that are being acknowledged here this evening for our tennis state champions?
Sure.
So we'll turn it over to you to start with that. This evening, we are excited to have students who are state tennis champions, and Mr. Dick will talk a little bit about our students, and then we'll turn it over to them.
Sure. I'll just introduce Zach and Kyle. They were 5A state tennis doubles champions this year. They also hold the, I want to get this right, state record for wins as a doubles team in the state of Kansas in history, right? 104. They've both signed letters of intent to play tennis in college next year, and I'll let them share a little bit about their future plans. Their coaches are also here, Mr. Sean Daniels and Mr. Kirk Davids. Have coached them all 4 years, actually, at Topeka West. So.
And can the coaches come up and
Yeah.
say a little bit so we learn a little bit more about our scholar athletes from you in particular? A scholar athlete can't be a scholar without a great coach, so we acknowledge you and congratulate you on what you produce in both of our students.
Thank you, and we appreciate the time that you guys have taken to do this. These guys have put a lot of time into not just tennis, but to their schoolwork as well. And so to bring them forward in this environment is much appreciated, and we appreciate what you've done for us.
Would you like to say anything? Anybody? Is there another coach back there?
Yeah, there is.
All right, traditionally the board members like to ask questions. And so if both of you can come forward.
All right.
I want to congratulate you as a fellow tennis player. First, I want to ask you guys, are your overheads pretty good?
They're not bad.
They're not bad. Yeah, I did say it's.
Well, if I was going to challenge you, you would get a lot of lobs. So maybe I shouldn't challenge you. But congratulations.
We can't lob, but we can chase it down.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, good job, you guys.
Thank you.
How about we start off with each of you giving us kind of, tell us, answer us 3 questions right now. So you just graduated, you had really successful high school student careers in addition to your athletics. Tell us, what you loved about high school, what you liked studying, what you're going to go do, where you signed to go play tennis, and what you think you want to study, and what you want to be when you grow up.
Okay.
So all those things wrapped up in your few-minute speech. You can also introduce your parents too.
Okay. I have my mom here, Michelle, my dad, and my brother over there, Doug and Tyler. My brother plays tennis at Bethel, where I'll be signing.
Freshman, huh?
What?
You'll be a freshman.
I'll be a freshman, yeah.
But no, they're the threshers, right? The Bethel
Yeah,
Threshers,
Threshers,
right?
Yeah. And so I'll be studying general engineering there. That's kind of what I'm going for as what I want to be. The most enjoyable thing about high school, I think, in my opinion, was the community and the welcoming of Topeka West faculty and students.
And here I have my mom, Jill. And next year I'll be attending Kansas Wesleyan, and I plan on majoring in accounting. And so I'm probably looking to be an accountant. And for high school, I think just being in like the same environment for 4 years and obviously having to leave it, but I think just getting to know everyone and all the people, students, faculty, that's probably the best part.
So I guess my observation after that, you're both going to be in the KCAC. You're the exact same age at this point. You both be freshmen. You're going to play each other.
Yeah, we kind of thought about that. Hopefully in the fall and maybe in the spring we'll get to play each other, and it'll be fun because we both know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Strengths and opportunities for growth.
Well, but it'll be fun to play against
There'll be
them.
no hard feelings.
Ms. Kerr?
How did you end up partners? I mean, getting a good doubles partner, doesn't work for everybody, so.
I figured it.
Yeah, Coach put us together. We came in as freshmen. The summer of freshman year, we went to the same his coaching camp, and so we were both singles players at the time, and so it was kind of new to us, and we reluctantly were placed as doubles partners. But I think the pairing worked out pretty great.
So what is your favorite sport? I know you're a basketball player, I know you're a football quarterback at Tweed West, and you're a tennis state champion. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I love tennis, and that's probably my favorite sport. But I would enjoy doing basketball or football, like in intramurals or something during college.
So in the current funding environment, board members are often asked, why do you continue supporting sports and the arts? Why is that important to students? And so what kind of argument would you help us make? We have our own ideas about it, and have always been very supportive of that, but it's better to hear from you. What kind of difference has it made in your lives to have the athletics and I know for some of you, the arts involvement?
Sure. I think it's really important when it comes to like building relationships with people. You know, I've met plenty of people throughout tennis, most particularly tennis, just getting to know certain people, and just getting involved helps me like find things to do, so I don't just go home and just play around all day.
I think it provides an outlet for students to become passionate about something that maybe they're not in at school, or they just sit in the desk all day. And so when the final bell rings, that they have something they can look forward to in the day.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any further questions or comments from board members?
Zach, was that your sister that made all league softball too? As a
Yeah, I
freshman?
think she was honorable mention.
That's awesome.
Second team by then. Yeah.
So is she the best athlete in the family?
Yeah. Definitely at her age, yeah, she is.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
So, unless there are any final concluding words from the coaches, any way to, how about the coach with the plaid tie? At least tell us your name, I guess.
My name's Sean Daniels. I'm the assistant coach, and just a couple of things that we really didn't talk too much about. These guys played together for 4 years. Great students, had them for 2 years in honors English 10, maybe language, right? And just as far as teammates go, great kids to work with. Always listened. Always wanted to learn what could we do differently. So, great kids, very coachable. That's one thing that we really liked about coaching these fellows. They were all city. They won city, they won league, and they won the regional. These guys probably more than anybody helped us win as a team regional as well, in our 5A regional, and then also 5A state. So the effort, the work that they put in, the camps that they put in, the tournaments that they did over the summers, over the years, really not much more can be said about how great of kids they are and how much they were willing to work to get that. And what's in my opinion, you talk about we had lost to, and I don't want to make you feel bad or anything, but we lost to the team that we ended up beating in the championship twice. Once the previous year, and then once during this season. And so I think there was a sense of redemption to kind of overcome that and to beat a team that we had lost to 2 other times before. So that's a pretty cool accomplishment as well. And if you look at the brackets, I spent a lot of time with the brackets, too much. But if you look at the brackets, you'll see they have the hardest road to win it. They beat the third place team, they beat the second place team, obviously. They beat the fifth place team. So if you go down the line, they have the hardest road, and so they really, really deserve the recognition that they're getting. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that I know your name now, Coach. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
All right, so with that, and Ms. Kruger, are there certificates?
Yes,
up
ma'am, they're
here?
probably on
We
the
have
very bottom.
certificates for you, and we do ask that you stay around for about 5 minutes so that when we're done with awards, we can get a photo with the school board members with you as well. Mr. Dick, can you come up and do the honors, or either one of the coaches? Here you go, sir, so give that to you to hand out, if there's a better person than me to hand those out.
Mr. Kyle Rice.
Moment, but hang around for 5 minutes because we will want to take a picture with the board members, okay?
Right.
Probably the vote. With those awards, we now have our above and beyond winners. And we have several above and beyond winners. So I do want to stop to see if there are administrators here that want to speak on behalf of these individuals. And if not, then I will proceed on with calling each one of our above and beyond winners. For those people that aren't here this evening, I do ask that we still publicly acknowledge them, raise them with praise, because this is videotaped and they will be able to hear their name called at a later date. So as I call these names, for those folks that are called, we do ask that you come forward, and as you accept your awards, stay still for just a minute, because the board members will come in right behind you when we're done with all the awards for the photos period. So we'll start off with our above and beyond winners. Our first award goes to, and I'm sorry, Mrs. Kruger, should you be doing this piece? Or?
You got it, you're good.
I'm good? All right. So our first award goes to Sandra Rack, and I don't see what school she's from, but she's from your school. Mr. They come back on up, all these award winners. Okay, I was gonna say, you don't have all these, do you? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I've already called the name, but you want to call the name again?
Sure, Sandra Rack. And I would just say a little about Sandra is she's been in the Booster Club the whole time that she's had 2 children go through Topeka West. 5 years total, and been part of the Booster Club. And the reason that I nominated her is she coordinates all of the volunteers and everything for concession stands for the Booster Club, which is if you've ever been part of Booster Club and done anything with concession stand, that's a huge undertaking. It takes lots of volunteers, lots of effort, lots of work. She's at the school all the time, checking inventory, getting stuff for the concession stand, doing all that. She does that year round, and really, she's amazing. She's donated hundreds of hours to Topeka West, and that is the primary fundraiser for the Booster Club. All that money goes right back to Topeka West to help students and athletes and teachers and activities and the things that they do. And so we couldn't have done any of that for the last 5 years without Sandra working so hard behind the scenes to coordinate all those things. So she's been terrific. She's a huge part of Topeka West, and her last child graduated this year, so we're looking for a replacement.
And for our next award, this person was nominated by Elena Johnson from Highland Park High School, the awesome Danny Ackerman. Awesome. He said he doesn't need to speak on his own behalf, but I will share with you. Now, Mr. Ackerman, were you there when Mr. Dick was there as assistant principal? Mr. Dick, come right on back up. Might as well stay up here. I will tell you that he was nominated for outstanding service to students by Ms. Johnson, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dick. I will say this as well, because I do know Mr. Ackerman's work very well, not only because of the character and the comments that students mentioned. As one student shared, she is the reason why he comes to school. And I said that she was a new student, and I brought all the new students in the library and said, what do you love? Why do you come? What's your favorite part of the day? And Mr. Ackerman was the person that she mentioned. And this student is one that's hard to get into the classrooms. And so knowing that she comes because of the inspiration from her administrator is amazing. Additionally, Mr. Ackerman, if you ever go to Highland Park, you will see that he's the first face you'll see because he's always in the front hallway. Any other comments that you'd like to make, sir?
The only thing I would mention about Danny and the time we were there, I was actually there when we hired Danny. And really, when we got done with the interview, we sat there and thought, where's this guy been? Why haven't we hired him before? He was amazing. And Mr. Ackerman is 100% about kids. Everything he does is about kids. He's out, he's visible all the time with kids. He cares a lot about kids. Everything he does is for kids. And you can't go, at least I can't, any activity that I go to at Highland Park or anything I'm around, Mr. Ackerman's there. Whether it's at Highland Park, across town, out of town, somewhere else, he's always there. He is 100% committed and invested in students at Highland Park High School, and they're very lucky to have him over there.
And our next person, if you're there, I'll read the nomination that their staff member submitted on their behalf. The next person is Art Jefferson. Art Jefferson here with us today. Art Jefferson is a teacher, a custodian from Avondale West, nominated by Claire Shee and the administrative assistant at Avondale West. And she has written a number of items, but primarily really talking about his contribution to not only the cleanliness of the building, but to making sure that everybody has a good day. So Art Jefferson will receive his award at a later time. The next award now goes to Renee Finchman. Ms. Finchman, are you here today? All right, Ms. Finchman was nominated by, Ms. Finchman was nominated as a counselor at Randolph Elementary, and her nomination, let me pull that back out, was from, I don't see it right off. She was it doesn't say who she was nominated by, but she is a counselor at Randolph Elementary. I'm going to move forward, and the next award goes to Jana Bennett. There you go, Miss Bennett. All right. And Miss Bennett, as she comes forward. Miss Bennett is a para at Williams Elementary, and Miss Bennett's, let me pull hers out. Williams Elementary has had a lot going on. They've had crisis situations and a variety of other things that have occurred, and her description of her is just being a phenomenal person. I assume you have not seen this, so I'm going to read it for you so you know what was said. Her nomination came from her principal, Miss Berber, and it says, Miss Bennett is a phenomenal paraprofessional that continually goes above and beyond for students at Williams. She noticed that another student in a class that she services who was not on her caseload needed some new shoes. This child who was literally falling apart. Ms. Bennett went out a few days later, brought 2 pairs of shoes that she had found for this student. The little girl that received the shoes was almost in tears. She had never received new shoes before. Do you remember that?
I do.
Ms. Bennett epitomizes all that is good in Topeka Public Schools. She's not only positive, but she's also an educator that will literally give the students clothes off of her back to be a support for children. As Mamie Williams would say, which is who Williams is named after, for those that didn't know that, Miss Bennett went above and beyond, and she continues to do that to be a miracle for others. So again, congratulations. Our next award goes to Glenda Tegenhoff. Hi. And she is an amazing volunteer. Congratulations. And let me find her award as well for a volunteer at Highland Park Central. Highland Park Central, as you know, Miss Kelly Norman is the principal. Let me see if I see her nomination in here. And Miss Norman, the principal, is who nominated you. Her comments are that Ms. Tegenhoff has been volunteering at Highland Park Central since her retirement 3 years ago. Now, may I ask, how long did you work in the district?
Almost 20 years.
After 20 years, and you continue to come back and retire, in your retirement years to volunteer. She assists us in the office with special events. She serves a PTO. Over the winter break, the office paraprofessional at Highland Park Central had a severe fall, I remember that, and broke her arm, and has been unable to come to work almost every day for the last 5 weeks. Ms. Tegenhoff has come into the Highland Park Central office to answer phones, help with office duties. During this time, there were so many missing items that needed to be addressed. She has served as a tireless office para and has literally been a lifesaver. She has truly gone above and beyond in volunteering at our school, and her dedication to the students and staff at Highland Park should be commended. Ms. Tegenhoff, you are an example of the spirit of what an educator is, continuing to give even beyond your years of official service, and we thank you for that.
I enjoy it.
That's awesome. I believe that completes the list of our above and beyond winners. Ms. Tegenhoff, before you sit down, we were going to take a photo. So you don't have to sit down and get back up. Board members, can we come on up and?
Awesome things. We may be giving Dr. Anderson quite a workout with having to laminate so many things, but it's great that we have so many awesome students doing so many great things. So thank you for that extra touch. So our next item on the agenda is the disposition of business by consent.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Education approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the Board President or the Superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the Board of Education.
So motion, is there a second? Dr. McCarthy, a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Now, I believe we are here to vote.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I think the board should be especially pleased to see that the work on Hope Street will be starting, including air conditioning.
So yeah, let's make sure that is recorded in the minutes.
The board is especially pleased.
That big smiles bust out across the dais. Okay, so next item, superintendent's report, and I see the first thing we have are announcements.
At this time, and I'll keep the announcements brief so we can turn it over to our legislative report from here. At this time, I want to mention a few announcements that are upcoming. As we know, the last day of school has come and gone, so at the next board meeting, you can expect a presentation from Mrs. Lucero. She just returned from Puerto Rico, in which we have hired 4 new dual language teachers. Her trip to Puerto Rico has helped us fill all of our dual language vacancies. So this year, at this time, we do not have any vacancies at Whitson or at Scott. So we are excited about that. Additionally, we received notification that Scott is now eligible to be an international school. So we asked for the board to kind of have that seed planted, because we'll be having Ms. Lucero talk about what that means should we choose to apply for that distinction. The other item that we'd also like to mention, that was by invitation. It wasn't something that we sought out. Did you want to comment on that?
No, I'll allow you if you want.
So no, just, and I really want to allow for Ms. Lucero to talk about how she was eligible for that. But no, as Mr. Woods pointed out, as he should, that is by invitation. It wasn't something that we sought out. So upon getting the invitation to become an international school, the first international school in Kansas, we'd like to share that with the board and what that would mean and what that process is, which really is just an application process since they automatically qualify at this time. Ms. Lucero will share more with the board, and if it is of interest to you, then we will explore that distinction. The other two items that I want to mention today, we actually started our comprehensive school improvement planning. Mrs. Wallace, Dr. McDonald, and Mr. Kipp led that particular process, and that will be continuing throughout next week. Lastly, I want to mention that today, or actually it was yesterday, we were notified of our grant announcement, and rather than me sharing this piece, I know Ms. Wallace is in the audience, her staff wrote the grant, but we were aware that funds were available because of our amazing school board attorney. Mrs. Kelly, would you like to mention what the grant is, where it is from, and then I can share what it will be covering, thanks to the award that we have been informed of as of today.
It is a grant through the Federal Office of Judicial Justice Programs, juvenile justice programs. And I became aware of it when Jeremy and I did some training with regard to the MOU and things that we've been working on. That we have some money available here in Kansas. Started talking with various people about whether we could put together some sort of a SWAT team of therapeutic people who could help to provide therapeutic services. In discussions led to one place to another, and Ms. Nicholson put together the grant application, and we were notified today that we got it. So hopefully it will help us be able to fund some of those services we hope to have available to kids who need help turning around behaviors.
So the grant focused on the alternative schools. It was for $225,000. So we are excited that that has been awarded as part of the Breaking the School to Prison Pipeline and the MOU, which was referred to with the Juvenile Justice Department. So that grant piece, Dr. Grimes, Mrs. Wallace, and Ms. Wallace's staff, Ms. Nicholson, wrote that grant over the course of, I think, 1 month. And so we were excited to see with the amount of hours that were put in, that we, as of today, are being awarded for that for this upcoming school year. Those services will include therapeutic services, social work services, and wraparound services for students at the alternative school to address behavior, as well as therapeutic counseling in a variety of other areas. I don't believe I left anything out, did I, Ms. Wallace? So with that announcement, we'll be giving you more information when we do the presentation on the alternative schools at the end of July or beginning of August. We'll be talking about how these funds will help support that alternative school system. Those are all the announcements that we have for today. And at this time, Mrs. Crow, the legislative report will be given by her. She has a PowerPoint as she comes forward. Really, she'll be sharing the update, but then really turning it over to you to answer any questions. Our PowerPoints are done fairly brief in terms of bullets, but chances are with the way things change from hour to hour, she may have additional information she wants to share with you as well. Mrs. Crow, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you. Good evening. The legislature is still in session as we speak. The House is debating the gun bill. It was passed by the Senate earlier today. I don't think there's an end in sight as far as when the House and the Senate will adjourn with the school finance plan and a budget and a tax plan. They made a good effort this week where the Senate, they've kind of been playing volleyball. The Senate passed a tax plan with 26 of the 27 votes needed to override the governor, sent it over to the House, and the House was only able to get to, I'd say, 61 votes of the 63 needed just to pass. And then a bunch of votes fell off when they saw that the bill was failing. So that follows where last week we had the House pass a tax plan, and was it last week or the week before? Governor vetoed it. They were able to override the veto, send it over to the Senate, and the Senate was not able to override the veto. So we are kind of going back and forth on the tax issue, which is kind of the big issue if you're going to pay for school finance. We did make progress with school finance yesterday, last night, night before last. The Senate and the House now have a position. They had their first conference this afternoon at 4:30. They came back again at 5:30, and they'll come back again tomorrow morning. So we do have progress on coming to an agreement on what the school finance formula will look like, because we have a June 30th deadline with the Supreme Court. And this is nothing new to all of you. We've been here before. So today is day 103 The longest session, you'll remember, was 2015, which is 114 days, so we're on our way to break the record. That's kind of what I have to share. Does anyone have any questions?
A couple of quick questions for you. So the school finance bills that passed each chamber and gave them their position now, the House's is a little bit more, is a little richer, right, in terms of dollars?
The House is at, I think, 280, and the Senate is at 235.
They're essentially the same in terms of formula, or does one of them contain more of those? So I'm asking because, in all transparency, there are a couple of what I would consider poison bills in the bill that was being debated. There were a couple of like voucher type scholarship expansion provisions, and are they in both bills, or whose position includes that?
The Senate bill doesn't have as much in for at risk. It's kind of where.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they stripped out, like, was it 20 million or 25 or something?
Right. And ELL, I think, also is not covered in the Senate. It's a $4 million that comes out of the Senate. I have a chart that I can send around, if that would be helpful. There aren't that many differences, though, so that's good. I mean, we are making good progress with school finance. I forgot to mention that late this afternoon, the governor sent out a press release, and one of the key components of the press release was that any school finance plan needs to have some sort of voucher.
Yeah.
So he's drawing a line now, and he's not gone. He's still here. So the rumor yesterday was that he'd be gone, not providing an update.
Yeah. As he, well, so I'm asking that too, because I saw the news article about his wanting to, push vouchers on any bill that actually passes. Whose position, the Senate or the House, has that in it? It was in the House bill, right?
I believe the House bill has
Does the Senate?
tax credit scholarships.
If they take-
Both of them might.
Oh, they both do?
I don't know, I'd have to go look.
Okay, I'm just curious. I know it probably changed from whenever they debated it. But
Right, the House had it in before. Whatever the case, it's a conferenceable item, so they'll be conferencing on vouchers. And now the governor has said that that's something that he wants in the bill. And we may be looking at a veto of any bill that doesn't have some sort of voucher system. And I think, they've moved to accredited schools only, or at least some of the conservatives that I've talked to have moved to vouchers for accredited schools, not just anyone. I don't know where the governor is on that issue. But I do believe secular schools are accredited, so they would be included.
yeah. Only other question I had was on the tax bill. So when it only got 61 votes, and I didn't read the actual bill, I just read the newspaper. I couldn't tell how different it was from the bill that they passed with 85 votes last time. And
Not a whole lot different, and last
it looked like
Monday,
3 brackets, the LLC
Right.
exemption going, raising.
it was less
rates.
money. So last Friday, they passed a bill that was 1.2 billion. This one would have been 980
Yeah.
million. And they were supposed to run that on Wednesday, and instead ran it, took the weekend off, and then came back and ran the bill. And I honestly, I think it was an overwhelming sentiment that the bill was going to pass. I think it was a surprise that it didn't. It was largely the expectation was that the Democrats would vote for the bill, and it was a divided vote with moderates too. So that's kind of where we are. There isn't really we've got definitely 3 different caucuses,
Okay.
or 5.
Depending on the issue of the day. Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask about the formula itself. Is that pretty well agreed on, or is that still the formula?
I'd say there are less than 10 differences between the 2 bills. Now, there's also a lot of disagreement as to whether this is something the court can accept. I know that the Schools for Fair Funding position is that this is not an acceptable formula, and especially that the formula, that the funding and the bills that have been advanced so far are not sufficient to fund formula to meet the court's approval. But we don't know what the court is going to do. The good thing would be to get something past the governor and maybe check and see before the 30th. But I'm hoping that's where they're headed.
Mr. Pearl, when you look at the financial impact differences between what has been proposed out of the Senate versus the House, if I remember correctly, the Senate bill provides Topeka Public Schools, for instance, about $1 million less in funding than the House bill. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's 900,000. And I think that's the at-risk impact. And that was largely to make it a smaller price tag.
Ms. Crowder, I thought I read something about how students who don't reside in the state would no longer be supported. And I don't understand, to begin with, why we were supporting them, but can you explain that?
That's in the Senate bill, and that's been a debate for a long time, how we pay or whether we pay for out-of-state students, and that's largely a border issue. And they dialed it back a bit and dialed back how much they'll pay per pupil, but it will still include it as a part of the formula. So I guess it was a compromise on how we were doing it before.
So really what you're talking about are students who say live right over the state line in Missouri, and maybe a parent teaches in a Johnson County school district and they bring their kid with them. That's usually who this is.
Right, or a student has to come and stay with a
With a
family member
or is and basically during that
still
September.
a citizen of another state, but is
Yeah,
here in the care of someone that is a Kansas citizen.
during that September 20th count date, they get counted.
And I think that was a big learning curve, and I think there's a much better understanding as to who those students are and what they look like and the need to provide funding. So taking it back as far as not funding those students as much, I think was a compromise that the Senate came to.
So it'll be interesting because I think I remember that issue being an issue like 15 years ago when I was there.
Yeah.
And my recollection, it was always the Johnson County legislators who were most fiercely, supportive of that. Because
And
every now and then you'd get somebody who from Southeast Kansas or something.
Right.
They had students who were like
Southeast Kansas
foster
foster
kid, things like that. But I don't see that going.
being pulled.
I don't
I
see
think that's
it.
going to stay in the formula.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. But the ripping money away from them?
Oh, cutting it
Yeah, I don't
lower?
see that going forward, really, with my point.
I think that's probably going to be restored.
Doesn't have anything to do for us, really, I don't think.
It shouldn't. Areas, but it shouldn't have a big impact here.
So if I understand it, the timeline will be they're probably past one of those two things, which are totally inadequate according to the Kansas State Board of Education. So if they're totally inadequate, will that immediately take them to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will say they're totally inadequate, and so that will have to make the legislature come back?
They will take this under review immediately as soon as it's signed by the governor, and actually as soon as it passes both houses and goes to the governor. And I would expect that they would start reviewing the bill. If the governor rejects it, then we go through the override of the veto process, or it's vetoed and we start over again, which is what happened 2 weeks ago. If the bill is not sufficient according to the court, and I think they will, since we have a deadline of the 30th, which is based on the fiscal year and budgeting, I think they'll issue an opinion quickly And that's been a lot of the politics under the dome, is what will the court accept? And how do we help move things forward because of the deadline? And how do we encourage our legislators, our delegation, to vote when we need something to get past the governor and get to the court so that we can hopefully break up this impasse? So we had members of our delegation that voted on both sides on on all of the different issues, and that's unusual. So it's really a different environment, better in the last 4 years, but a different environment under the dome.
Okay, well, so probably reasonable to conclude, you know, you're not an attorney. You are, but you probably don't want to take a public guess, maybe put forward a prognostication. But, you know, if the bills, the ceiling that they're talking about negotiating here is $280 million over 2 years. We think back that they've cut about $900 million from schools over the last 6 years, 6.5. We think about the fact that they have adopted the Rose standards as the standards that we're supposed to meet, and the State Board of Education estimates it's going to take about $1 billion to meet that.
And we haven't been even close to that.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, we can't raise enough money.
In enough time, yeah.
I mean, it's just not gonna happen.
And so the sad part to me, even if they did muster the political courage, you know, to bring in $2 billion new dollars or whatever, and they could dedicate $1.5 billion to education, what about all these kids that are in the waves that they miss? You know, who speaks for them? I mean, besides us and besides our educators who are doing yeoman's work, making do and still meeting kids' needs, but what
It's
about the
been a
kids
long
who fall through
2009
the-
recession.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, so.
I will keep you all updated. I don't want to sound any alarms. I mean, I do, but I think we're going to get to a resolution. I think there will be funding that will come in. I don't think schools should expect any more than $280 million. So I think that is a ceiling. Right. And I'm not going to say what the court does. I have no idea. They have a history, a precedent of not liking legislative shortcuts. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Well, our next item on the agenda, we've got 3 action items, and we talked about all of these at our last meeting. The approval of the textbook enrollment fees that Mr. Minkey discussed with us last time, along with Ms. Wallace. Are there any, does anybody need a refresher on exactly what we are voting on? Are there any questions that anybody has for staff on this issue? If not, I think if everybody's memories are fresh and ready from the last meeting, I think we are prepared to entertain a motion. One way or the other. We could do them all 3 together if that's what you prefer to do. Does anybody have any questions on any of these 3? I know we talked about them at length at the last meeting.
So I move to accept the 3 action items, 20.1, .2, .3.
So there's a motion to approve all 3 at one, a second by Reverend Williams. Any discussion on the motion? There's none seen, I think we're ready to vote. Okay, well, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 6-0. Our next item, our only discussion item tonight, is the Board of Education calendar for 2017, proposed calendar. Any questions about this? Does everything look okay?
It says the 4th of July is a Wednesday, but I think it's a Tuesday. Oh, it says 2/17, between two possible dates, parentheses, July 5th or July 12th, 2017.
Yeah, it says 2018, I see.
For the very last meeting on this calendar, if you look at it.
The second line, I'm just reading it.
Yeah, I don't have
Under public content, summary, the board will discuss the proposed meeting.
that. Oh, you're reading
Sure.
that? Okay, on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, I see. On the draft, it says Thursday, July 5th or July the 12th, 2018. I'm assuming we'd like to stay away from the 5th. In honor and respect for our beloved republic. Yeah. We should make sure and not have to have all these folks come in and prepare for board meeting. Okay. So I think it's pretty unanimous, imagining you just need kind of head nod consensus from us. July the 12th. That's just the next Thursday, right? Okay. With that, I think we've wrapped up everything we've got. We're going to do board member comments, then we'll be ready. I think I'll start at the end with Ms. Kirk.
I just want to make, I know what I want to say. I'm going to write. Yes, our two doctors here are not going to have any opposition. Well, Reverend Wills, oh, did you have opposition? Hey, what is this, Patrick and Craig and I? We don't live right. It's unofficial.
It's done today.
No opposition?
For any of them. I just thought that,
We attribute it to clean living.
clean living. I said, it's because he's out there biking all the time and running and doing all those good things for himself.
Yeah, I always get an opponent.
Yes, we do.
Sparkling personality.
If you didn't antagonize so many people.
Anyway, congratulations, all three of you.
And thank you for your service. Thank you for signing up to do it.
Just a note, I hopefully will attend the next meeting, but I may not be able to, so still keep it.
And I will be at the next meeting, but just a heads up, the June 30th one and the first meeting in July, I'll be gone on a family vacation.
Yeah. On the note of, and I probably shouldn't even talk about it, blow my own horn a little bit. I had a call from somebody yesterday interested in running for the board, and she said she wanted to talk to me about, and she said she was interested in my position, and I said, that's fine. Then she said, are you running? And I said, yes. But I said I would be very happy to tell you about the implications of being on the school board. And she said, no, since you're running, you're doing a great job. I don't want to. So, and I had no other calls about your positions, but I told her that that probably in the future, and not distant future, these openings would be, and I would be very happy to talk to her.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna pass on. So with that, I think we are ready to recess for our last executive session.
See you, Mr. President. Board of Education, I move that the Board of Education recess to executive session for discussion regarding personnel matters to be discussed. And the open meeting of the board will resume at 7:50 with probable extensions into 7:50.
Motion, then no further.
No further action to be taken.
Okay, the motion, any second from Reverend Williams. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign.